Maximus, the savior of ancient Rome, a Roman general who was betrayed by the emperor's son, Commodus, who murdered his father and stole the throne, where Maximus's family were murdered, and Maximus, a once powerful general, became a slave. But the glory of Maximus would be reborn, where he would become a gladiator, fighting death-defying battles in the Colosseum arena, where he continues to bring hope to the people of Rome in this period piece epic that features state-of-the-art cinematography and battle scenes.
Are you not entertained?
So it's time to go back and have a look at Gladiator, the movie that made Russell Crowe a huge star, and at the time had everyone saying, "My name is Gladiator, mate." So 10 things you didn't know, let's check it out. Number 10, Gladiator came to be thanks to a motorbike trip in the 1970s. Gladiator is the brainchild of American screenwriter David Franzoni, and his journey into the lead-up of what would become Gladiator started in 1972, when he travelled across Eastern Europe and the Middle East on a motorcycle, in which while on his travels, he noticed many arenas, which opened his eyes to the fact that back in those ancient times, these arenas and gladiator fights must have been big business. And yes, when you think about it, the concept is fascinating. The idea that people would be excited to watch people ripping each other apart and killing each other in the same way that people get excited these days about a new movie coming out. Yeah, brutal times. While in Baghdad, Franzoni read a book called Those About to Die, which would actually later be retitled to The Way of the Gladiator, by author, animal trainer, and magician Daniel P. Mannix, of which was published in 1958. And reading this book fueled Franzoni's intrigue and fascination even more. Number 9, a Steven Spielberg movie got Gladiator off the ground. So David Franzoni started a career working in movies, where he would co-write Jumping Jack Flash and a TV movie called Citizen Cone. His big break came in 1997, when he wrote the script for Amistad, a period piece drama about a slavery trade ship. Amistad was directed by Steven Spielberg and was the first movie to be distributed by his at the time new production company, DreamWorks Pictures. Despite reaching critical acclaim, Amistad was a box office disappointment. It just didn't bring in those usual Spielberg dollars. Despite this though, the powers that be at DreamWorks were very impressed with Franzoni's Amistad script and offered him a deal to write 3 movies for the company. Franzoni told Spielberg about his intrigue and fascination with the ancient Rome gladiator colosseums, and Spielberg actually really liked the idea and gave him the go-ahead. So Franzoni returned to his visions of gladiators fighting in arenas. Just like that, Gladiator was put into production. Now, Franzoni didn't know much about ancient Rome, and took inspiration and knowledge from the as-mentioned book, The Way of the Gladiator. Gladiator's script itself is a mishmash of real and fictional characters, and according to the Yardbarker.com, the main character, Maximus, was originally called Narcissus, who actually was a real gladiator, or at least wrestler, who did actually kill Commodus, but not spectacularly in an arena, but he actually strangled him in his bath. Number 8, a painting got Ridley Scott on board. Gladiator's producers really wanted Ridley Scott on board to direct Gladiator, feeling that he had what it takes to bring this epic story to life on the big screen. Scott, after all, is known for making a diverse range of big epic movies, as at that time he had directed Alien, Blade Runner, Legend, and Thelma and Louise. So a meeting was held up between Scott and the producers. And keep in mind, Scott hadn't read a script and knew nothing about the movie. But at the meeting, he was shown an 1872 painting called With a Turned Thumb, which depicts a bloody gladiator battle at the Colosseum, presumably to show Scott the kind of movie that they wanted to make. And just like that, Scott was really lured in and wanted to direct the movie. Seeing that painting was all it took. As Scott puts it, it showed the Roman Empire in all its glory and wickedness. Although Scott did think that the script needed polishing up, particularly with the dialogue, so any given Sunday writer John Logan was hired to do some rewrites. British scriptwriter and novelist William Nicholson is also credited as contributing to the script. Yeah, the script writing process for this movie was a bit messy, but more on that later. Number 7. The alternative faces of Maximus and Commodus. When it came to casting Maximus, the original choice for the part was Mel Gibson, which actually makes sense, as a few years earlier he starred in fellow period piece battle movie Braveheart, but supposedly Gibson felt that he was just too old and turned it down. Other candidates considered also include Tom Cruise and Antonio Banderas. New Zealand actor and telephone throwing enthusiast Russell Crowe got the part of Maximus, as the production was impressed with his tough guy performance in LA Confidential. And he is brilliant in the part, and I also like how he doesn't change his accent, he plays it with a New Zealand accent, because why not? And you know, let's be honest, who doesn't love Russell Crowe? Well, anyone getting hit in the head by his telephone, I would imagine. Originally, Jude Law auditioned to play Commodus, but the part went to Joaquin Phoenix. At the time, Phoenix had just starred in 8mm and the criminally underrated Return to Paradise. Seriously, no one knows this movie and it's brilliant. As we all know, Phoenix is now best known to superhero and comic book fans as Super Kid from the Superboy TV show. According to Wikipedia, it was claimed that Jennifer Lopez auditioned for Lucia, but the part went to Danish actress Connie Nielsen. Number 6. Ridley Scott actually burned a forest down to film a battle scene. The shoot for Gladiator took place in 3 different locations. The scenes set in Germania were filmed in Surrey, England. The scenes involving the slavery trade were filmed in Morocco in a place that I really can't pronounce. And the scenes set in ancient Rome were filmed in Malta. The crew built the 1/3 scale replica of the Colosseum, with extra height being added digitally. When it came to filming the battle scene in the forest in Surrey, Ridley Scott found out that a part of the forest was set to be destroyed, so Scott actually got permission to actually burn the forest down to film the battle scenes. In addition to that, in the Colosseum scenes with the tigers, real actual tigers were on set. Okay, there were some shots in which tigers performing in front of a blue screen were added, and there were also some fake prop tigers, but yeah, there was actually, to a degree, tigers there with the performers. I'm telling you, that was definitely a more hardcore, balls to the wall days of filmmaking. You know, back when everything wasn't just CGI. Number 5. Hiccups on set. Apparently during the filming, the script for Gladiator was constantly changing and being rewritten, with writers, producers, and even the actors contributing to the script. Apparently there was quite a bit of ad-libbing during the filming of Gladiator. Heck, even the subplot of Maximus's family being murdered was something that was added to the script later down the track in order to turn up the stakes and conflict of the movie. According to Crowe, when the shoot for Gladiator started, they only had about 32 pages of script to work with. There was also changes made to Maximus's character, in order to make him less of a brutal killing machine and more of a kind, sensitive killing machine. You know, a nice gladiator that we can all relate to, I guess. Crowe supposedly didn't like the dialogue written to make his character more sensitive, and called it, quote, garbage. In addition to that, while filming Gladiator, he would sustain many injuries. Well, yeah, the movie has many brutal fight scenes. Crowe claimed to have all sorts of scars and long-term injuries from filming Gladiator. He had to get his shoulder operated on, and to this day has reoccurring back issues. While filming the movie, he hurt his Achilles tendons, both shoulders, and both knees. So this guy was literally in a battle for our entertainment, just like Maximus himself. But the troubles during the shoot would only get worse, when one of the cast members actually died. Number 4. A trip to a local bar led to a fatality. So in Gladiator, legendary English actor Oliver Reed played old Gladiator trainer Antonius Proximo. Now, it was really common knowledge that Oliver Reed really did like to have a drink and kind of go crazy. His TV interviews were well known for being compelling, drunken train wrecks that were painful to watch, but at the same time you just couldn't look away. In fact, Oliver Reed and his drunken antics were kind of a meme before there even were memes. Sadly though, it seems that these wild drinking antics caught up with him. Now, supposedly in order to star in Gladiator, he had to promise Ridley Scott that he would not be drinking, and for the most part, he actually was true to his word. However, it was during the shoot of Gladiator in Malta, where, according to Gladiator's scriptwriter, David Franzoni, Reed met up with a group of Navy sailors, where they all went to a local bar to have a drinking match. However, it was during this on-the-spot drunken Olympics that Reed became ill and collapsed, and died on his way to hospital of a heart attack. He was 61. In the original script of Gladiator, the character Antonius Proximo was actually meant to survive, but because Reed had died, the character was also killed off. And for the scenes that Reed hadn't filmed yet, a body double was used, with Reed's face digitally superimposed on the double's face, which is a bit eerie and creepy, but you know, what are you going to do? The guy died. You have to finish his scenes somehow, I guess. Well, I guess Reed died doing what he loved the most. Getting absolutely shit-faced. Number 3. Product placement gladiators. Now, it's very common these days for movies and TV shows to have product placement, as well as celebrities endorsing products in order to sell said brands and build up a market. I mean, come on, this very video has advertisements. Well, provided I'm a good boy and don't annoy YouTube and chew with my mouth closed. Now, if you can believe it, there was going to be scenes in Gladiator where the gladiators would promote and endorse products while in the arena. Now, this sounds pretty ridiculous, right? These tough gladiators who are literally fighting for their lives, taking time out to promote some merch. That's crazy! And it seems that the production also felt that this was too ridiculous. So the subplot was removed because it was felt that it was just too unbelievable. And you know, that audiences wouldn't buy it. No pun intended. However, once again, according to the Yardbarker, this actually was something that was done at gladiator events at the Colosseum in ancient Rome. Remember, these were pretty crazy times, so even back then in ancient Rome, audiences who just wanted some good old bloody violent entertainment still couldn't avoid skipping the YouTube ads. Only the gladiators probably didn't advertise NordVPN or Raid Shadow Legends, but probably, I don't know, sandals and weapons. Number 2, Pavarotti could have been part of the score. The music of Gladiator was scored by Hans Zimmer and Lisa Gerrard, and of course the music is rich and powerful, and has those vocals that seem to be in many movie scores back in the 2000s and 2010s, usually for epic movies that are trying to be all powerful and emotional. You know, those vocals that sound a little something like this. Yeah, you get the gist. Apologies for my bad singing. Well, Gladiator was on that. In fact, I think Gladiator may have been one of the first movies to use this. The score actually got Zimmer into some hot water, as the Holst Foundation felt that Zimmer copied music from composer Gustav Holst and used it in his score for Gladiator. A lawsuit was filed but was resolved out of court. I guess he got them to Zimmer down. In addition to that, tenor Luciano Pavarotti was offered to sing a song for Gladiator, but he turned it down. So, yep, no Pavarotti in Gladiator. It was absolutely a no from him, but apparently something that he would go on to regret. Well, thankfully these days there is no more issues or controversies concerning the Gladiator movies and music. Yep, absolutely no controversies at all. The trailer for Gladiator 2. Oh, what a terrible cough. Number 1. Second highest grossing movie of 2000. Gladiator was released in May 2000, and it was very successful, making over $465 million on a budget of $103 million, so it definitely made a nice chunk of change. In fact, it was the second highest grossing movie of 2000, beaten only by Mission Impossible 2. I find this really fascinating, because although I think the Mission Impossible movies would eventually become a really terrific film series, it really has, in my opinion the second movie was definitely a weaker entry. You know, before the film series found its footing, so to speak. And I'm really intrigued that back then, more people wanted to watch Mission Impossible 2 than they did Gladiator. I guess each to their own. And of course, Gladiator got acclaim from critics, with it being set up as an instant classic, and it won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Actor for Russell Crowe. Now, a few nights ago, I sat down to watch Gladiator in preparation for this video, and it was a pleasant viewing experience. Despite its lengthy duration, it was still easy to digest, and you know exactly what you're going to get. A big period piece spectacle, one that's very theatrical, made with plenty of momentum and gusto. And above all, it's made with heart. I mean, compare it to Scott's recent historical picture, Napoleon, which to me felt like a lethargic slop to get through. Also, I think that Gladiator came out at a time when there were historical epic movies that featured rough and raw war battle scenes with emotional orchestral scores. And that's okay. Once again, you know what you're gonna get. So Gladiator is a state-of-the-art, Hollywoodized, glamoured look into the indulgence and violence of ancient Rome, where we see one brave man stand up against a sinister emperor, and ascend into greatness, and above all, become legend. As far as period piece epics go, Gladiator more than gets the job done. So if you're into historical movies that have that Hollywood glamour and allure, then you will love Gladiator. Anyway, I'm Minty, and that was my look into Gladiator. Not to be confused with the adults only version. Glad he ate her. See ya!